Welcome back, and we are in our second class where we are going to continue discussing the planetary cycle. If in the previous class we realized how many years to pass between two planets to meet again, probably in another cycle, we also could search when they met in the same sign with the AstroGold software that calculating this for us. We also understood that in such big cycle, it's very hard to know how the world to change. We realized that Uranus and Saturn completing a cycle around every 44 years. So 44 years is a half-life. We're speaking about trade here and how to take advantage of different cycles. So the more we need, we have more details about shorter periods, not just the round of Mercury, the round of Venus, the conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune and other quicker planets can give us extra understanding how all this big cycle that's related to evolution, because it's a generational cycle, to play. Another part of how we can engage with those stage of the cycle is using not just conjunction, but square, and opposition. So, for example, now Saturn and Uranus are meeting together. Just for the example, let's see it together. When it happened, Saturn and Uranus, when they meet previously in 1988, right? Let's see the chart. They met here. Uranus, change here. Uranus and Saturn met in 27 degrees of Sagittarius in 1988. It will take 44 years until they are completing a cycle to meet again. We can check when they are going to meet again. When? In 2032. What will happen back then? Saturn and Uranus will meet in the sign of Gemini. Both are moving, and the next time that they are going to meet will be in 2032. So we see that it will take so long years to wait to understand, but something very interesting will happen when they will create just a quarter path between them. What do I mean? That I will go back here to 1988. I'll put here just this. And you know what? For the sake of explanation, I will go to display. I went to setting, display, and I want to see only Saturn and Uranus. So I will turn them off, and we could see only their aspects. We have only Uranus and Saturn right now. So when Saturn, we know that is having a double cycle, faster than Uranus. Uranus will take around 78 to 84 years usually, and Saturn 28 to 30 years. So Saturn is moving faster, right? Uranus slowly in a half. When Saturn will will square Uranus. How we write square? Saturn square Uranus. We are going to check it directly, even that some of you can run it in the brain, fast calculation. Instead of conjunction, we are going to put square. And from 1988, that we are seeing it right now here, we are going next. What? I'm sorry. I did Saturn square Saturn. No. Saturn square Uranus. Next. In 1999. Ooh la la. So of course the Wheel of Fortune is moving and we are seeing it different, but now Uranus is in 1999, 10 years after. How many years passed? From 1999 minus 1998. It was 88? No, 88. 11 years. 11 years, Uranus and Saturn are squaring. If we will take another square, we will go to 2000. Okay, this is the same because they are retrograde. And 2021. From 2000 to 2021. What we got? Here. Saturn and Uranus square. But actually, why now 21, 22 years passed from 1999 to 2021? Because the program is looking for square. The next phase of another 11 years, it was opposition. Opposition. Back. I didn't do it right. Let's go back to square. 2000. And now I want to see a square. From 2000. Sorry. This is the square that we saw of 1999. Okay? Uranus in Aquarius, Saturn in Taurus. Then we can search for Saturn opposing Saturn. Because what will happen? What will happen is that Saturn will move faster. Okay? It will move not just to here. It will move to here. Uranus will move slowly to here, and they will arrive to a moment that they will do a square, a opposition. There will be, here will be Uranus, and here will be Saturn. Now, not specifically that this opposition will happen here. It can be also here. Depends on how we are going to hold the chart. So now we are going to search for Saturn opposing Uranus next in 2008. Let's see how it was looking here. 2008. So again, how many years passed? Now, again, it was square in 2000. In 2000, it continued a square. Between 1999 and 2000, they were squaring for 2 years. Usually, they are squaring during 2 years because Saturn is retrograde 5 months, Uranus is retrograde 6 months, and they are passing more time in the same area. And the opposition occurred in 2008, 8 years after. So we understand that square, opposition until they are meeting together can take around 8 to 11 years. So generally, if we are taking 11 years, because this is 88, and you see the opposition, just a second, the opposition continue from the first square, from the first opposition. It's continued 2008, 2009, and 2010. During 2 years, they were continued to oppose this opposition. So that's what I wanted to say, that around 10, 11 years, they are in interaction of square, opposition, square, conjunction. Okay, conjunction. Let's draw it here. Conjunction, just for the example, square, square, and then opposition, another square, and back to conjunction. So this is telling us more information. We understand that in the example of Saturn and Uranus, Saturn structure, Uranus breaking the structure, rebel, technology, alternative, that every 10 years we are going to have modification of the structure going to the future, that some radical changes can happen until we will complete the full cycle. Now, in Module 2, I teach some example of different aspects between planets and what is bullish and what is bearish relative to from where it's squaring what, if you remember. We are going to see enough example of this. I want to concentrate this class only on understanding the other aspects, how we are dividing to pieces of aspects that we know that we consider square and opposition to be challenge, that something should shift a direction, and how we interact with this period. For example, we are right now speaking, as I'm recording this video in September 2022. Saturn is the last moment, because during 2 years they are squaring each other. Saturn and Uranus are squaring, and we are going to start a new phase, that Saturn to oppose Uranus. And usually we always will say Saturn oppose Uranus or Saturn squaring Uranus, because Saturn is faster and he's doing the interaction with Uranus, more correct to say probably. But the interpretation is the same about the evolution and the modification and the progress of things. And as we will go back in history, we could understand what events happened in the world. Let's do some experiments here. What happened in previous cycles that Saturn opposed Uranus? First of all, it happened in July 2010. I remember this time exactly. I think that around this time I bought my first iPhone 4, but this was the revolution of technology. This was all the social media craziness. People start collecting friends online, and the connection between all the globalization is part of the theme, and all the e-commerce ability. The media grew a lot, and we have to speak about media because Uranus was in Aries, and is not sorry to confuse. Yeah, because I thought about Pisces, something else. Just a second. Yeah, it was in during those 2 years, Uranus was in Pisces, and because they are doing the opposition during 2 years, from 2008 to 2010, it's what brought to a new phase And we know that Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, so it's cardinal sign, and this is very indication of a new technology and a new entrepreneurship and form of relationship with government. We understood that a lot of people started voting for government with the internet use, and technology took a very important leap forward. The next of those oppositions, since they met 20 years prior to this, yeah, is going to be another square to Uranus when, as I'm recording this video, and depends when you are going to listen to this video in few years from here, Saturn is going to oppose Uranus in 2022. 2021 mostly, and we are going to go to square because it's opposition and then square, and this is 2021, and Saturn is in Aquarius and Uranus is in Taurus. We know that in Vedic astrology, Saturn is also the ancient ruler, the ruler of Aquarius. So it's a strong Saturn, strong government. Uranus is in fall position in Taurus because it's exalted in Scorpio, the opposite of it. And this is how we had the challenge in the last 2 years with the Corona crisis, that government took the power of people, and the shift of government and they are actually in mutual relationship, because Uranus is not considered in Vedic astrology. This is a new discovery, and now we consider Uranus the ruler of Aquarius. But in mythology, Uranus was the father of Saturn. However, is interesting relationship between them, as we see a conjunction of them once in 44 years, to square every 8 to 11 years, and opposition and square. Those are two squares until the close. The close that they open after the conjunction, and the square before they are going to meet again. So actually, we are right now in the 3/4, as I'm recording this video, before they are going to meet again, because the next meetup of them will be conjunct, and this will happen in 2032. In 2032, Uranus and Saturn will meet again in Gemini. And this is significant as every cycle of them. So if we saw in 2020, 2021, 2022, square of Uranus and Saturn, that things should change, people suddenly start working online and doing Zooms and digital money and all those things. This will be the completion of what started in when? In 1988. Let's see what agenda was in the world. 1988, almost to the 1990 internet. Because all what we are seeing here is about evolution of technology, historia. Why it's suddenly in Spanish? How internet developed since 1980. In the mid, this is exactly the story. Research at CERN in Switzerland by British computer scientists. Exactly 1988 to 1990. Saturn, Uranus resulted in the World Wide Web, linking hypertext documents into information system accessible from any node on the network. The dramatic expansion of capacity of the internet with the advent of wave division multiplexing and the role of fiber optic cables in the mid of the 1990s had revolutionary impact on culture. This is also all the VoIP and the telephone calls, video call. Look how it's crazy. Look how the revolution that happened with the COVID crisis, with the Square 2020, 2021, 2022, that suddenly everybody are on the web connecting, and the images and the virtual reality connected with another conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. Let's take another example with Jupiter and Neptune that actually completed the cycle in April 2020. What happened there? Let's take now this play, and I want to see just Jupiter and Neptune. Okay? So we know, search, that they met in April 2nd, 2022. Let's do a chart to show it. They met in Pisces. Jupiter and Neptune met in Pisces in April 2022. When was the last time that they met? Search, reverse. Happened in 2009. Exactly with the Facebook and all the online information and development, and it happened in Aquarius. Technology, using the imagination in order to bring this in order. When they did a square, this we are speaking from 2022 minus to 13-year cycle. So what happened where they square Jupiter and Neptune? Next, show it was in 2012. We should see what innovation happened in 2012. Something specific isn't coming to my ear. What happened 2012 generally? Okay, US President Barack Obama re-elected, Egyptian protesters. But think technology, think creativity, because Jupiter and Neptune are both the ancient ruler of Pisces, and Jupiter of Sagittarius, and this is about expansion, about globalism, about above the limits. So even the Barack Obama as a black prime minister that showed the possibilities, the options. And I think that is also started with the green screen technologies, or at least with the idea to go with it. Then we are looking for what coming after the first square, opposition. So we are going to opposition, and then it happened again in 2015. Jupiter and Neptune opposed, and this is a moment of delusion in a way. What we need to change in the world what we change. The majority of America no longer middle class. Gun death become as a common traffic death. Okay, gun death. Neptune is speaking about poverty and illusion and expectation and our illusions, and some of the agendas that were created could create some confrontation with a exaggeration of things, because Jupiter is very exaggerative, going to expand things. But that's the main idea that I wanted to bring here, because I don't want to fall into how to predict. This we will see each one with his talents to combine more more planetary aspects that are happening on the same time to give us details and information. And the AstroFinance method is going beyond this. I just want to illustrate for you the movement and the rhythm, and how finally we will see planets and see aspect, and we will learn if this is going to take us higher, down, and what it means also in the world. Always will be sort of interesting to imagine the situation. I want you to develop a good sense of intuition in this method, because it's not something that you are copy paste. Jupiter is a bullish sign. It's now in a default position. No, it will be a mixture of things. I'm showing you the techniques. I'm showing you where I'm taking the information and how you will start creating and to invest. It's not something that you could just copy what exactly I'm doing. You will need just to know the tools and to start building something with it, using it by feeling the archetypes and feeling the circle and assuming where it's going, from where it came from, learning from the past, etc. In the next class, we are going to introduce another aspect that I haven't discussed before, not to overload the information, and this is the 45 degrees. And it's a simple one, just to know it is another challenge aspect that we will need to watch. And I'll see you in the next class. Continue to play with the software to see how the planets are worked. Go to the history, start to feel the cycle of different evolution and periods that are happening in life. It's nature. I'll see you in the next class.